here. Angelica, that's Edgar's family, and Lena were all in the house. Harley, Lena, I think Angelica was laying down, and Ty was on his way back. Ty goes to school in Florida. Ty was on his way back here. Whenever that noise again, I realized my handgun is in the car. I never drove my car, it was in the car all day. Me and Edgar jump up, okay? We hear it, and I start going down the stairs slowly, and I run back up the stairs. And I was like, downstairs. Now, I don't know who's downstairs, what's going on. I don't even know if anyone's in the house or if it's just the people looking or what's going on. When we go back down the stairs, Edgar has the other handgun on him. Crossing over the front stairwell is someone in a, it looks like a cape. Okay? So it's like a cape wrapped around them. Goes straight into the back bedroom. As soon as I see him go to the straight back bedroom, I'm going to instantly go into protection mode. I went to go grab the gun off, like from Edgar, because I thought the person in the cape, I didn't know who it was. It happened with the whole Michael the Archangel. The whole thing had happened with my stepdad, and when I grabbed it from him, the gun hits me and then hits the person in the cape. At the time, I didn't know who the person in the cape was. Paul, standing on top of the bed. I didn't know at the time it was standing on top of the bed. Until later on, when I sat down with my attorneys and we put it together and realized it, I didn't know until that point that it was Gannon standing. Because prior to that, I thought it was the whole like cape thing. We've put it together over and over and over, and I sit and I cry with them. I did this with them and everything. The only thing that comes to my mind is that the way the cover was wrapped, that's what had to look like the cape, was the way that he had the cover wrapped around him. They can think what they want, whatever about me. I never would purposely hurt Gannon or hurt anyone that I would have thought it would have been Gannon. Never in a million years, okay? Never. I've had these kids all over the country. If I was going to do something like that, it would be somewhere in another country. Like, come on, like people who want to kill people do it because they want to take someone's life. That's not what happened. They paint me as this monster, and I did all these crazy things. I never once knew it was Gannon. I, in fact, didn't even know it was Gannon until later on. The reason I didn't is because Lena, I guess the noise woke Lena up. If you read the report, Lena told you that she helped carry Gannon's body. That report in her interview, she says on that Gannon's body's not moving. That's because she was there and she helped carry Gannon's body to the car. I couldn't get him up the stairs. I didn't even know it was Gannon at that time until I moved the cover. I lose it. Like, I am all over the place, like, screaming, crying. That's how Lena hears me. Lena's helped me. Now, Harley's still asleep. She hasn't woke up to any of this. Harley's a hard sleeper. Lena helps me tote Gannon up the stairs. I'm throwing up, like, blood, the side of him. Like, I'm literally on Gannon is still alive. Gannon is barely talking. Okay? We try to get him up the steps, which we did. We take him up the steps. I'm like all over the place. We get out the garage to go to the car. And I blink out. Because at this point, I think I was in complete and utter shock. And I know I'm throwing up because I see all this later. So when I tell you I know I'm doing something, I sit back and written a timeline and looked at every piece of evidence, figured, this out, because I was just on it. I remember being in the car on the passenger side, and we were taking Gannon to the hospital. But I was on the passenger side, okay? Now my leg's bleeding, which, if you look at the footage from the hospital, you can see where I got hit with a bullet. Okay? So my leg's bleeding. And that's probably why there was a little bit of my blood on the car. I don't know at this point. I don't know if she went back in the regular party. I don't know anything because I remember waking back up in the car and being like, "There's no palm trees." Now you say, "What is palm trees?" In South Carolina, when you go to the hospital and those palm trees, it's on the Grand Strand. That's why it's called Grand Strand. The beach, and then there's palm trees. I didn't see any palm trees when we were in the car, so I didn't think I was on the right road. But I was in the passenger seat, not in the driver's seat. Next thing I know, when I wake back up, I hear a loud noise, like a howling noise, like a noise, and it reminds me of like when my grandpa died, and he made like this noise. That was the noise I heard when I wake back up and I'm in the garage, in the car. Now we look at camera footage, and my car does go out 5 minutes. So leave the neighborhood. So what we put together is that it must have been when I went out in the car hearing the noise, that must have been when Gannon took his last breath, and I was still out of it. Go back in and park the car. So, or come back to until Lena must have came back outside to the car. And Lena's asking what's going on, what's everything. I go in the house. Harley's face, Lena's face, they're all just like white, like they've seen a ghost. Like they don't even know what's going on. It's police, like the whole world, as if this ain't really going on. Like there is no way this happened. Like there's nothing wrong, y'all. Everything's fine. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be home. That's when I started going through like all the motions of, you know, going to go get this part, because to me it wasn't really going on. Like this was, you can't even compare this to a nightmare. To have gone through that, you can't compare it to a nightmare. That is far from a nightmare. And to know that he was speaking to me and Lena as we were trying to take him off the stairwell. And then it was like none of it was real. So I just started going into different personality of like, this ain't really going on. We got to find him. We don't. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I guess somehow I go on to the airport. I don't remember any of that, but I'm on footage going on to the airport. I'm on footage just talking to people and saying like, you know, we're gonna find him. Like I don't really like remember that vividly, but I know I did it because I've seen it. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't do it because it was there. It's like me talking to people, me doing it. It was, I got just disassociated, and I was like, this is not real. That there is no way this happened. So Edgar, another male, he's a family member, and I'm not going to say their name. Somehow during this mix, when I was like going crazy trying to go get Albert, and I was screaming at everybody, talking like it's an accident, it's an accident. I think they have one of the things reports where I was like, I didn't ever know it was Gannon because I really didn't. It was someone that came. The reason he was taller was because the bed was sitting, like, you know, you think a twin bed. He was standing on the bed. So to me, or to whoever I was, thought that that was a person in a cape. That's the only reason at all that the gun would have went off. That is the only reason. And like I played this back, like I said, 50 million times in my head, like, was I in the right mind to turn the light switch on? No. My mind was in the protecting mode because he wasn't there. The police was there. He wasn't there. Where was he at? Like, this was somebody in the house. It was probably someone trying to molest him. It was probably someone trying to hurt one of us. So what I was already going through with my stepdad earlier in the day, Maria could have thought it was my stepdad. He could have thought it was anyone who was. trying to hurt anyone else in the house. She's going to protect. That part of me goes in protection mode to protect everyone else about me. So there was never a moment. So there's no murder. There's no hurt. There's no intent. Look, I had everything I wanted in my life. Career, this, that, you name it. There was no reason to hurt anyone in my home. I gained absolutely nothing out of hurting a child. But abuse, negativity, shit, crazy as an evil stubborn, I took care of this kid from so like, go through that. No, I had to carry him upstairs as he was dying. There's never, I could never in a million years tell anybody what it was like. I was not okay. I was not okay before because I felt working down with someone in a cape. Like, how do you even explain that again, small, that you think it's someone in a cape? You can't. You know? But then what happened after was even worse because I never even moved again. I'm not going to incriminate anyone, the male person. I'm not going to do that. Because it wasn't any intent there to harm anybody. There was no intent for anything. I went crazy thinking I could raise humans in the bed. I was driving him around the Burger King, trying to get him Happy Meals. I freaking took him back to GameStop to get that $60 game that I told you about that I told him to get earlier. That's how freaking crazy I was going. But I was like, he's going to wake up. You know, I don't know if y'all know Andrew Womack. I tried to find Andrew Womack's house. But he brought his son back from the dead from 5 hours at Memorial. And I grew up watching the Daily Gospel. And Andrew Womack, so I just kept thinking, like, God gives people powers to bring them back from like this is not supposed to be happening. All while still not even believing this is even happening. That's how my mind shifts. Older male person finally at some point told my mom that I had completely lost it because I told you my mom came out here. My mom, brother, they were all like, you have lost it. You can't bring somebody back from the dead. They already knew, but they weren't going to, you know, involve themselves in it. Like, you are going crazy. You need to go to a hospital. I didn't have anything to do with body being moved. I really kept saying he has to get back to Carolina. That's where his grandma and grandpa have a farm, and that's where he was there. It was like the person left me, couldn't carry him anymore, and the whole thing was him to be buried in South Carolina. So it wasn't to be like, you know, something else. That was the whole thing. I was not well enough to get him there. That's why the male person is the person who tampered with evidence and who tampered with the body. That was not me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I didn't know with him and fired weapon and did do this part. I'm telling you. I know with him. I started the person in the case that goes in the house. And then freaking, you think about a cape. What if cobalt colors are on a cape? Red, black. What do I think about? What was going on in my mind during the day for my stepdad? If someone was trying to molest him, someone was hurting these kids, just going through my brain. Or I never, like, I didn't even have my own handgun on me. I don't even like guns. I can't even really shoot a gun. Not even me. Maria can shoot a gun. I can't shoot a gun. So, like, yeah. And, like, for someone to get to hear the truth of it, it's like the hardest thing because people are like, oh, why didn't you turn the light on to see if someone's in a cape? What do you mean? Like, I sit there and told my therapists and people that, like, do you think I had that thought process? There was never even a thought to be like, hey, that's not even a thought I had. The instant thought is when Maria comes, it protects whoever's in this house. That's exactly what happened. There was no intent. There was no hurt. There was no There's no ill will, there's no anger, there's no passion. I looked up every definition they have in this book because I was obsessed on it. None of that is right. That's not what happened. And you can't even say, like, there's no self-defense because you don't even know. I thought this was someone else. Like, how do I know who this is? I'm not in the right mindset to decide, to make that decision. I didn't know right or wrong to who this was, what I was doing. My mind goes to, there's kids in this home, there's Lena, there's Carly, and one of my kids are missing.